So welcome to the end of the season video. I want to thank you for your support, the people who have continued to tune in on the series. I won't lie, I don't actually know how long this series is going to go on for. Views obviously down as we're closing on FN26. So will continue to be content on Football Manager, but it might be a bit more sporadic. Yeah. So welcome in to the end of the season. We're just going to fly through it, to be honest, and show you exactly how the end of the season went. And I think in the next season, we're going to try to have a bit more in-depth in the episodes and just kind of get things ticking along a bit better. I have been sick, obviously, recently, which has kind of ruined the most recent videos. So we only managed to get through 2 more rounds in the Champions League. A 2-0 victory in the first leg against Chelsea before 2-1 defeat at home. To always go through 3-2 before we end up going out 4-3 to Arsenal. Beat them 2-1 at home with a 92nd minute winner, by the way, from Emmerich, before we lost in Arsenal at the Arsenal Stadium, Emirates, 3-1. Saliba, Rostein and Kayode on the score sheet. Emmerich scoring again for us, so 2 games in a row there. So in terms of Copa del Rey, a little bit upsetting because we made it to the final for the first time, but we lost it. So we beat Tenerife 4-1. Butler with 2, Bernal and Finchu before a 2-0 victory over Valencia. We then won 7-1 over Villarreal in the first leg, which meant I put out a very heavily rotated side in the second leg where we lost 5-0. But we went through 7-6 on aggregate. And then we lost, unfortunately, in the final 2-0 to Atletico Madrid. And we just did not turn up in this game. We were very, very poor. So in terms of league form then, a couple of disappointing ones. So you can see here, 3 clean sheets in a row. 3 clean sheets from 4. But that was also mixed in with a 5-0 defeat to Real Madrid. Losing 5-0 our biggest rivals, and we were just shocking in that game. Honestly, it was so bad. I was dying of sickness at this point playing this game, but I remember how bad we were. A draw against Girona, which would come back to bite us. 3 wins, and then a winful. I don't know what the word is when you win every game. In April, before again another draw which came back to bite us against Mallorca, before winning the last 3 games of the season, all with clean sheets, as we end up missing out on the league title by 1 point to Real Madrid. Now, as soon as the season finished, Vinicius Jr. retires, so the positive is they are losing one of the better players, but very, very upsetting to miss out by 1 point with a draw at home on the final month to Mallorca. I just feel like that probably did end up costing us. Now, I have been looking at a few things because the competition reputation, La Liga is ranked 2nd. So I would guess to complete a European Journeyman, to complete it, you would win the top division, so the Premier League. So if La Liga doesn't overtake over the summer the Premier League, then if we can win La Liga next year, we still haven't completed it even though we've won the Champions League. We would need to win whatever league is ranked the best in Europe, and that is the Premier League. So at some point, we're probably going to have to jump over to England before this European Journeyman ends to try to win the Premier League. Now, we are piecing together quite a nice little squad here. Before that, we look at who the best players of the season were, then looked at a couple of youngsters who have kind of been promoted. So Mark ended up scoring 31 and 45 starts. Lamine Yamal picked up 26. 17 for Emmerich. Jack Butler with 12. Godet with 9. Emery with 8. Finchu with 6 alongside Saka. Assist-wise, Saka, who only came in halfway through the season, picked up 13 assists along with Emmerich. Fort with 11. So a lot better than the season before where nobody really looked amazing with assists. Saka definitely has done that. Obviously a little bit older, 35 next season, but still can do a job. A couple of players who have been given a chance in the second half of the season. Marcel Pla. I think it's Pla. Very talented player. Came through the academy. Obviously came from Jabak Terrassa, but maybe came when he was like 13, 14. Came through the academy. He looks insanely good, and I just think these type of players who almost want me to stay at Barcelona for a few years. And another player who just came through the youth intake for us to look at. Only 4 players were signed through the youth intake, but Soares is a player with all potential. Retrain him in attacking midfield to make sure he fits our system. He ended up playing 3 games in the league near the end of this season. He's back in the under-19s for the start next season, but I see a lot of potential with him. We also brought in this defensive midfielder who also has a lot of potential. Promise, because, you know, he has a lot of promise. I mean, he actually does look really, really good. More players who were kind of convincing me to stick around at Barcelona for the long run. And then 15-year-old central mid who also, except for the fact he can't pass, looks like a decent defensive midfielder. Who cares about passing? So in terms of our youth team then, after our first team came second by a point, our youth team is into the final. I can confirm we do win it. So if we just go down and find our league, you can see again, we went through the whole domestic league campaign unbeaten. And I have to say I'm really, really pleased with how our under-19s are looking. And there's some talent in there, obviously. Some players who have a lot of potential come up into the first team. Alcia, who was capped a couple of times for me this season in the Cup. I just think he looks like he has a lot of potential. I just wish he was like 6'3", 6'4". But this team is really, really developing. And the players, attribute-wise, just go up so much playing in our youth team. It's crazy impressive. Jan didn't look anything like this when he came in. Only 16 now. The attributes are going up, and I think all of them are going to be over 10, 11, which means he already looks like a decent player. Our B team, we ended up winning the second tier. So our B team are second tier champions, which I said I wanted to happen. I don't quite understand how it's happened because we pretty much mugged the team dry. But one thing I would say is Rod Torres has now become a B team regular with 15 starts, 15 sub appearances, 6 goals, 2 assists. I planned on kind of letting the players who are named after Patreon YouTube members to move on to kind of let them continue their career and see where they go. Obviously, Trent's in Austria Wien, to Lens, to Barcelona. But if he's going to be playing in our B team, I think we'll keep him sticking around at least for now, because why not? He's a B team regular. He's playing regular football in the second tier of the Spanish league. See if he can get double figures next season, for example. Now, one player who is going to move up in our first team next year is Alex. He has a year left on his contract. I'm going to move him up and use him as our third choice striker next season and try to give him, I'm going to try to give him 10 to 15 appearances for the first team next year. Then I'm going to let his contract just run out and let him move out on a free, because Alex has actually commented on a recent video. He wanted to move on and see how his career would progress. And I actually agree with that. It's getting stifled a little bit now, especially when our B team wasn't using him much. Obviously, went on loan Clement Foot at one point last season, but didn't score many. But he has 91 in 206. He's still a very, very good record. And you look at his last season for Austria Wien with 15 in 25. There's potential there in him. Look at that. 18 and 18 as a kid. 12 and 25. 6 and 15. Then he went on to Austria Wien where he got 9 and 50. He's just been a legend. Honestly, I think if he could score 5 or 6 for the Barcelona first team next year before he moves on, I'd be interested where he goes. What I would say is I've noticed French clubs seem very interested in him. So there's a chance he will end up going to France. So we'll keep an eye on that. But we've had a decent season. We won the Super Cup. We came runners-up in the Spanish Cup. We won the Super Cup. Quarterfinals of the Champions League, second in the league. It's not the worst, is it? It's not the worst. Now, I've actually jumped forward to the save point in August where I'm at now, because after this I'm going to record the next video. And Arsenal end up winning the Champions League 4-1 over Real Madrid, and it just shows the superiority of the English clubs at the minute. Manchester United won the Europa League, beating Sevilla. Profile-wise, no Spanish clubs have won it for a few years. 4 English clubs in a row winning the Europa League. And winning the final was Lens. Okay, so one of our former clubs actually went on to win the final. He was played at Newport. Newport have a 43.5 capacity stadium. What is going on? But no teams play there. Work that out. But Lens actually won the Conference League. Fair play them. Tottenham, Napoli. Okay, back to back. You can see back to back here. Spanish clubs really have been struggling in Europe, so they're definitely not going to become the best league in Europe anytime soon. So I do think long term we need to maybe look at moving to England. The Premier League at the minute, if I go to last season, you can see how it finished. Middlesbrough, Luton and Fulham went down, but you've got the likes of Bristol City, Swansea, Bournemouth, West Ham. Chelsea just squeezed in Europe in 8th. Brighton and Villa just missed out. Leicester in Europe, Tottenham, Newcastle, Man U, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. And you can see it's kind of like the Spanish league. Man City have won it every single season since the series started. So it would be interesting to maybe go to a different club and see what we can do there. But you can see, by the way, they've only got 5 points after 3 games this season. Arsenal have 9 points. But I do know this episode was not the best recap, mainly due to the fact that I was really sick when I got to the end of the season. I've had some sort of viral infection which has kept me down over about 3 weeks now. But I am feeling a bit better. I'm getting to the point where I can actually talk without coughing my guts up. So I'm going to end this episode and start recording the next one. And that is the point we are at. And then we can really get into it. And it's probably going to come back at the end of the August window is this video I'm going to record now. Then we'll come back for the end of December, end of January, end of season, and try to do a bit better in terms of recording for the remainder of this series. I've been Paul. I'll see you next time.